Hello, everybody, and welcome to Mendel Center Connections. I'm Mike Nadolski, and so pleased to have with us today Mike Moyer, who's the Director of Wine and Viticulture Technology at Lake Michigan College. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you bet. So tell us a little bit. I mean, we used to be roommates, colleagues in the Mendel Center as the program was starting out, and now we're neighbors.
Yeah.
You're running the Welch Center over there, and tell us a little bit about the facility and your job, and we'll go from there.
Well, I can tell you the new facility is a huge improvement over where we used to be. They had kind of carved out a space for us in the Mendel Center, and we made it work for a while, but it was really challenging, not only just for the wine production that we do as part of the program, but also, from an educational standpoint, trying to show the students how you should be working, how things should work in a winery. And so we have this new 14,000 square foot facility, the Welch Center, a lot of generous donations from the local community, a lot of support from the local wine industry that was able to make this happen. But it's a great space. It's designed to be a winery, as opposed to like a television studio or something like that. So,
Right. And you're not, you don't stomp grapes, but it's a nice visual. You don't stomp grapes in the loading dock area either.
No, we don't have to do that. No, we don't have to worry about that. Yeah. We have floors that drain. We have some really nice equipment. We have lots of room to move, and the winery flows like it should. And the students get a good experience that way. And hopefully, when they leave and they go on in their careers, they'll remember, the ergonomics of the Welch Center teaching winery, and they'll bring that to their workplace. So.
And what's the tasting room? There was one in Baroda. Now that's moved over to the Welch Center as well.
Yeah, the Baroda tasting room was a great kind of temporary spot, but the Welch Center tasting room has a lot of advantages in that it has a nice outdoor patio, covered patio. It has, in the tasting room, there's a big glass wall where you can actually look into the production space. And that's really nice. And, pre-COVID and post-COVID, we're able to give tours and show people around and show people what winemaking is all about. And people really like that. They like to see the production. They like to see the barrels. They like to get a little overview of how wine is made. And we're able to do that in the new space. So, yeah, we're really excited about it.
I like you said a term there that I really enjoy hearing called post-COVID.
Yeah.
Eventually we're going to get there. And but in the meantime, a new semester's shaping up too. And how's that looking?
Yeah. So I did want to point out, though, the tasting room is open.
Oh yeah.
We are open. It's just that we've kind of stopped doing the tours, but we still have. It's been really cool because one of the things we've done is all the tasting samples are little sample mini bottles. And this has worked out great. We might even continue this after, the pandemic is over, because people they get their little samples, they go sit down on the patio, they get to pour their little tastes at their own pace. And the customers really like that. So, we are open on Fridays and Saturdays still. And, the Saturdays have been really good. People are out there. Obviously, they're tired of being inside. So,
yeah, we've noticed that too with our drive-in concert series. And I like to gesture over to the side and point out, because we're in the parking lot right next to the Welch Center.
Yeah.
In between the Mendel Center and the Welch Center. And so I'm like, I like that building over there. And people are like, oh, huh. Yeah, it's good. People are still discovering. The center hasn't been open that long at all, the Welch Center.
No, it hasn't. It's been almost exactly a year. So, we probably would have made a bigger to-do about it, in a different year. Yeah. But yeah, we'll get there eventually,
What classes are about to start in a short while here, and
well,
programs growing.
We are going to start another crop of students this year in the fall. We'll be making wine in the fall, just like every year. important part of the program is the hands-on education. Um, it's really important to be immersed in the production and, you know, be able to to process the grapes at harvest time, manage the fermentations, temperature, wine movements, all that stuff. We want the students to feel completely comfortable in a winery setting when they graduate and feel confident that they can go out and make their own wine too. So
what's all this dry weather we've been having lately doing to the grape, the vines in this area?
You know,
Having an impact?
it has been dry. In some ways, it's good, and it's actually there's been a fair amount of water stress out there on the vines. But you know, grapevines don't need a lot of water. They're traditionally grown on the more marginal ground anyway, and a lot of the Mediterranean climates are really dry, pretty dry in the summer. So the grapevines are doing just fine. In fact, we're excited about this vintage because it has been warm. So it's helping to ripen the grapes along nicely. So the harvest should be a little bit earlier, which is good also because then you don't have to wait, you know, and try to muddle through some of those late summer, early fall rains that we get sometimes. And so we're actually really excited about the vintage.
Well, your depth of knowledge is always fascinating to me, and you have quite a background. You're not from this area. You're from. Tell us a little bit about your background and where the program you were at before coming to Lake Michigan College.
Yeah, so I originally, it's funny, I grew up in the state of Utah, and but I went to college in Washington State, and that kind of got my, you know, that's where I learned to love the Pacific Northwest. And after I graduated with the degree in enology and viticulture from University of California, Davis, a couple years after that, I moved up to Walla Walla, Washington, back to the Pacific Northwest, to be the first enology instructor at a relatively new, really new actually, program, a winemaking program at Walla Walla Community College. And I spent about 7 years there. And then after that, I still stayed in Walla Walla, but I went to the private industry and worked for a good family winery for about 5 years. And then that's where it's really funny. That's where I met Bob Harrison, who was president of Lake Michigan College at the time, and he and Clinton Gabbard actually convinced me that, you know, this could be a good move out to Michigan, and I'm really excited. You know, one of the things that's fantastic about Michigan when you compare it to the West Coast is our climate is a lot different. And so we end up making the wines that we make here are much more akin to what you'd get from, you know, the Loire Valley or Alsace region or Bordeaux even of France. And my palate has always gravitated to those European wines anyway. And so it's been a really good move.
Yeah, you know, I always wanted to ask you, you lived in Walla Walla, Washington. Did you ever give any thought to living in Kalamazoo and commuting? Just so people could quote the song to you?
Yeah, you know, I think Bugs Bunny, doesn't Bugs Bunny refer to both of those towns? I think he probably, you know, I know he refers to Walla Walla in one of his episodes.
Yeah, and there's a baseball song about Walla Walla, Washington and Kalamazoo. It's a beautiful day for a ball game.
Oh,
anyway,
okay.
You're a baseball fan.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Just being a smart guy.
Yeah.
So it's obvious you're passionate about your work. What's your favorite part of your job that you do?
You know, I gotta say, I mean, I love the winemaking, but really the favorite part of my job is the program's been going now for 5 years. We're about to start our 6th year.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, and I keep tabs of all the graduates and where they are and what they're doing. And whenever I get, you know, frustrated or, you know how it goes with jobs, you know, sometimes some days are better than others, right? And whenever I pull up that sheet and look and see where students are and what they're doing and what their careers have turned into, that is by far the most rewarding and most satisfying thing, because, you know, we have graduates doing some amazing things already. We have graduates working from coast to coast, literally, and also doing things locally. You know, 2 graduates just recently, actually they're not even graduated yet, they're going to be graduated here soon, have already planted vineyard ground near Buchanan right next to each other. So, you know, it's just really exciting to see how we're helping to contribute to the growth of the Michigan wine industry and actually the country's wine industry. So
yeah, there's some great success stories out there, and I know there was a local vineyard owner or somebody immersed in the wine industry who joined the program too as a student because they wanted to know more about something they were already heavily invested in.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I know that's what we're here for. We're just to help provide some technical expertise and also some basic foundation for people interested in being involved in wine production from the vineyards through the winery and even beyond, into the business and the hospitality side of things.
So if somebody wants to, become a student in the wine program, what's the best path for them to take to find out more, or to jump right in even this semester or in the near future?
Yeah, absolutely. The fall semester is starting in a couple weeks, but a week and a half, but there's plenty of time still to enroll in the program. Even for a class or two, the best way to do that would be to go to lakemichigancollege.edu and apply for admissions to the program. And alternatively, you can go to lakemichigancollege.edu/wine, and that'll take you to the department homepage, and you can enter your email address, and we'll get in touch with you right away, get you started.
Awesome. Hey, Mike, thanks so much for joining us today on Mendel Center Connections. Mike Moyer, Director of Wine and Viticulture Technology here at Lake Michigan College. Have a great one, Mike.
You too, Mike. Thanks. I appreciate it.
All right. Take care.
All right.
Bye.